Hi everyone, and welcome to the first episode of the live video escaperooms.com podcast. I'm Tom Parslow, and today I spoke to Julia at Harz Escape. I spoke to her about her live video game, the Don Vito investigation. If you haven't played this game already, I highly recommend you go and play it, but there won't be any spoilers in this episode, so feel free to watch this first. So let's get started. Could you just introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm Julia. I live in Germany in a small town, and I have escape rooms here since about 4 years. Yes, and I love playing them as well.
Ah, fantastic. Yeah, it seems like so many escape room owners are also enthusiasts, which is a really cool thing to see. So yes, you've been running them for about 4 years. And how long have you been doing the live escape rooms?
Well, we just started. Obviously, I was just as shocked as everyone else, probably, with everything having to shut down a couple of weeks ago. So this happened like mid-March in Germany. So on the 17th of March, we got the info from the country that we have to close down. So I had to cancel all bookings for the live games. It was pretty sad business. And but somehow I had already had this idea that's a bit funny, actually, like a year ago or so. Like, what would it be like to have someone in the room and other people from home steering that person? So it's something we had actually thought of a little bit as a concept, but it was more like weird idea while having some wine in the evening, and we never really thought about it any further. And yeah, now with the whole corona stuff, it popped up again, and we thought, actually, why not? It's worth a try. So we spent like 2-3 weeks just trying it out, seeing if it works, and as the test games looked pretty promising, we thought, yeah, let's give it a shot. And I just opened 4 days ago for the online games, so it's still very fresh.
Amazing. Yeah. It's all. I think it blindsided all of us really. The speed with which everything happens. Can you describe the game that you have?
Yes, I can do that. It's actually a little bit funny also, because we have this one room. It's the Don Vito investigation, which is a very small, very traditional room. It's actually a room we were planning to like shut down in not such a long time and make something else. Like, we have 2 single rooms, and we were planning to exchange that into a multi-room. And well, we never got to do that because we had other things. We made a city game last summer, and we made a Christmas room for Christmas. So there were always other things that seemed more urgent, especially since people were still also booking these old rooms. So we also have lots of tourists in our small town, so there's always new people coming. So the necessity of exchanging the rooms is maybe not as high as in other places where you only have the locals playing. In any case, we had planned to do this, but we never got around to do it. And this particular room, as I already said, it's a very small room, and also not very, like, it's not high tech or anything. And yeah, this actually was a stroke of luck, because for this format, I feel that it works very, very good, because there's not so much getting lost in the process. So my thing is, because we also have newer rooms with like effects and wow moments, and we thought of doing like changing those into an online game, but we had the feeling that a lot of the atmosphere and of these special moments would get lost in the process if people only watch it over video. And that's why we picked this room, which yeah, it's almost like you're actually playing it. I mean, there is the difference is not that big, I find, and that's why it works very well.
Yeah, no, I'm seeing that. I think quite a lot that that these older rooms that people were beginning to think of as being, a little bit past it, are suddenly the best room for this kind of game.
Yeah, so that's what I feel, and I'm very happy. I actually like my room now better than before,
Sure.
because I feel that also you played the room yesterday, so you know that we have like the game master also having a role and acting. And yeah, I have the feeling that it actually gains something through this, and that it's maybe even more fun than it was before.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, it really the narrative works really well. The acting was great. So, and yeah, and actually that comes on to my another question I had, which is, what do you think about sort of narrative puzzles, the relative importance of them, how they should be combined, that kind of thing?
Well, I mean, I'm a person who really likes story in games, and this is not even a room where that's very much focused on the story. We have other games that are better with that, but that's something that I like a lot when I play. And I feel that in this online format, you can bring that more into focus, because in a live room you can add story details or like background things, but people might ignore them, people might not even look at it or not understand it. And I feel that here you can like point out things a little bit better. You can maybe
Yeah,
force people to read something by just holding the camera onto that article until they read it, or you can just make small remarks that give a bit of maybe background or feel for the room and for the story. So yeah, I do have the feeling that with these live escape rooms, we have more possibility of actually transporting more of what we would like to transport as designers.
cool. Yeah, because of course the games master has such a big role in the live escape room. They were just before the before and after kind of person, and now you're there for the whole thing, and
Yeah.
everything goes through you. So, yeah, what's it like running a game over a video link? What's it like for you as the games master?
I love it. I don't know how I will what I would say in like 4 weeks or 6 weeks of doing this every day. So far, of course, it's very new, so it's also exciting. I like it better because I feel when I'm running games from outside the room, well, time passes quite slow, and I also you sit there, and sometimes the group is being so blind, or I don't
Yeah,
know, doing weird stuff or breaking stuff, and you just sit there and yeah, you think, oh God, and you can't do anything. And yeah, you give a clue now and then, but yeah, you're pretty much outside of it. And
sure.
now, of course, being in the room, yeah, I'm actually feeling a bit like I'm also playing, like I'm doing this together with them. I'm also playing an escape room a little bit, even if I already actually know a few things. Um, but yeah, time passes much quicker. It's much more fun. I really love interacting with the players in that way. And I also feel so so much easier to give very subtle clues,
Right.
because when you're from the outside and you give a clue, people know, okay, we got a clue. Whether it's a small clue or a big clue, but they got a
Sure.
clue.
Yeah. Yeah.
And being in the room with the camera, I can like just by moving it a little bit slighter to the right, and then they maybe see an object in the corner that they just hadn't noticed before, and I'm like, oh, what's that? And that's important. And so I managed to do that in a very subtle way, so people often don't even know that they got a clue. And that's a very good thing, because it makes people feel good. It makes them feel smart. They think they solved it all on their own, which they did, but maybe I just showed them something that they hadn't seen.
Great. So you can kind of adapt the game for them live as they're going, and yeah, make it more suited to them and more fun.
Exactly. So that way, every group gets what they need a little bit. Like if it's a really good group, I don't do anything. I don't lead them. If they looked
Yeah.
at something, I just stay exactly there until they tell me, okay, now turn around and look at the bookshelf or so, and then I
Sure.
do that. And with not so good groups, I just automatically, after they solved something, look around the room again and sort of
Sure.
move
Yeah.
into the direction where they would have to do something next. And so I can definitely adapt it according to the group and how I see that they are managing. So I have to say that the groups so far were all very, very good. I have the feeling that it's mainly enthusiasts doing it at the moment. So everyone had played like at least 30 rooms. Some had played 300 rooms or
Right.
even more. So yeah, most groups were really good so far. So yeah, I'm waiting to see how it will work with less experienced groups, but we tested with those as well, and it also works, and we managed to also get them out in 1 hour, so it is possible.
Amazing. Yeah. I mean, I think that just right now, because of where people are hearing about this, it's all the
Yeah.
hardcore enthusiasts at the moment, because they're looking on the Facebook groups looking for their next fix. But But I think these games are a lot of fun, and people are at home and starved for social things to do. So I think once people start realizing that these games exist, you're probably going to start seeing a lot more inexperienced players, maybe first time escape room players even.
Yeah, that would be exciting. I had one group in my test players that played for the first time.
Wow.
And they really loved it, and I just thought afterwards, geez, if you like this, imagine how you will feel when you actually play a real room. Because it's of course very different, but it doesn't beat it, I find. I mean, it's still something else to be in the room on your own and solve things and touch things and open stuff. So I mean, it's not really a replacement like that, or 100% a full replacement. It's just something different, but it's also fun. And I have the feeling that most people who played are just pleasantly surprised by how well it works. I think the expectations were very low, and that's good because then everyone was like, oh, that was actually fun. And of course, as soon as like if the expectations are high, it might be different. I don't know, but so far people were pleasantly surprised, I think.
Yeah, but I mean, this is people are just looking for things they can do from home, and this compared to a lot of your other options is quite different.
Yeah.
It sounds like you are getting really good responses from the player. You're saying that sort of they're coming in with low expectations, and then hopefully having those expectations exceeded. So yeah, what are you seeing as sort of how people sort of react at first and how they react afterwards?
Yeah, well, it's actually a bit funny because when we open this Zoom meeting, so people are joining, and in the beginning we have our camera off and our microphone off, and I'm actually already in the meeting, but people have the feeling there's no one there yet. So then sometimes they talk about it, we're like, oh, I wonder how this will be. That's a crazy idea, and are they really in the room? And are we? So yeah, they often don't really know what to expect. And yeah, as you noticed yesterday, we also start the game immediately. So we're throwing them a little bit into the cold water. I don't know if that's an expression in English as well. But yeah, so it immediately starts, and then they're like, oh, okay, yeah, what do we do now? But it's pretty intuitive, actually. I mean, I'm in a room and I say like, so where do I start looking? We need to find these papers. And yeah, people go like, okay, look at the desk, and then the game starts. And it's actually a very low barrier, I find, and also even for players who haven't done rooms or many rooms, I think it's pretty intuitive what you have to do.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, in the beginning, I actually did like the classical introduction, explain the rules up front, but then I realized it's not necessary. If I send an email and write the few things that they need to know before, then I can just start the game immediately, and that works pretty well. Actually, people are enjoying it, and we don't lose so much time either in the beginning. So it's a bit easier for us also to manage the time slots with cleaning up and everything.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. So that works pretty well for me.
Yeah, because I guess you don't need to tell people not to break things anymore.
Exactly. That's a big pro.
In terms of just practicalities, are you finding that people are turning up on time?
Yes, very much so. We didn't have a single group that was late. There was one group of, I think, like 3 devices where only 2 of them were there and one was missing. And so I asked like, oh, are all agents there? No, one of them is not here yet. And I was like, yeah, well, but we kind of need to get in here because Mafia is coming. And then they asked, so could this person just join later if they show up?
Yeah.
And I was like, yes, of course, every agent is useful. And let's see if you're smart with just the 2 of you. And yeah, I just did a bit like that. And we started the game. And after like 5 minutes, the 3rd person joined. And then they just updated him shortly on, okay, we found these 2-3 things so far. And that's where we are. And then he could still play along. And I was like, hey, that's actually great. I mean, we couldn't do that in the live room. We wouldn't like just let one more person in, or I don't know, maybe we would, but I guess it never happened because groups normally come together. But that was actually a pretty uncomplicated way of just letting people who are late still join. And I don't know if the whole group would be late. I mean, my email says you can be 5 minutes late, and if you're more than that late, then we can't guarantee the game. But I guess I would still do the game. I would just say, okay, the Mafia comes in 50 minutes. then they just have less time and they have to see how they manage. But I wanted to say one more thing. I just got lost. No time. Oh yes, a problem we do have a little bit, because you asked was anybody late. The time zone conversion. So even though we do mention it's CT, make sure you convert. Like we had one player who thought it was 5 hours difference and it was 6 hour difference. So he didn't show up for the slot, and an hour later he was like, "Oh, I'm here now," but it was too late because we already had the next group. But we're flexible there, so I just rescheduled, and so it wasn't a big deal. Especially since the time was, I mean, for us it was noon, so it wasn't really a problem. But we had in the beginning considered also offering night slots so that people from the US, for instance, can play at times that are more suitable for them. But yeah, I decided against it because I thought if I have one game that's like 2 a.m. here, and then I get up for that game, and then people don't even show up because they mixed up times, I was like, I don't feel like doing that. And so I decided, no, we're just going to offer normal German times, and people have to adapt to that if they live far away.
Yeah, no, I think that's very sensible. I've booked people in to talk to me before at late times, and then they haven't shown up, and yeah, it's not a good feeling.
No.
When you're like, I could be in bed. Have you checked if your booking software can support showing different time zones?
Yeah, no, it's something we built on our own. It's pretty simple program, and it works very good. It's very user friendly, but everything we want to have new, we need to program. And the guy doing this for me is basically a friend who just does it, and he has other things to do at the moment. I'm happy he just managed to implement it, that people can, I mean, that my calendar has now this online game and slots are different and it's all working. So people just need to convert on their own. I know it would be possible, but it just wasn't high priority at the moment.
Who would have thought that your escape room booking software would need to do time zones?
Yeah, yeah, that's all very new. Yeah.
I mean, I'm used to dealing with time zones all the time, and I've got it wrong once so far with the game because I forgot that we'd gone into daylight savings time, but they hadn't in America. So I had 2 games booked with the same people at the same time, but they were at different times for me, and that completely threw me. I just said, "Oh, we'll play, 3 days later at the same time," and he said, "Yeah, sure." Luckily, I got it wrong the wrong way, so I turned up an hour early. So that was fine. And what sort of technical difficulties are you seeing with your players? Are you seeing technical difficulties in terms of connecting to the stream, that kind of stuff?
Well, I feel that Zoom is a pretty good software for this. It works pretty well. The video quality is good enough. The sound quality is good enough, or well, as good as you can sort of get. We tried like 5 different things, and we also liked that there's no lag. I've played some online games that really have a 3 to 5 second lag, and I find that a little bit frustrating. So I'd rather go for a bit less video quality and no lag, if you ask me. Yeah, so in any case, that's working out fine. One thing that some people have trouble with, but I think I found a way to solve that as well with Zoom, that people automatically are in speaker's view, so they don't see my room all the time, but they see the person who says something, and they don't really know where to change that. But I found out yesterday that there's also something called Spotlight, where I, as a host, can like select that everyone sees my video. So I'm still also really new to it, so I'm figuring out new stuff every day. So most people managed fine with software. I'm thinking, was there anything else? Yes, well, I had 2 games where the connection was gone for a moment, and I don't know if it was my internet or if it was Zoom, but I was just like suddenly out and had to log in again. There was really, I really don't like that. I mean, I'm like, this is not allowed to happen actually ever. But I have the feeling it's not possible to have a 100% guarantee that nothing ever happens. So I'm just hoping that players are patient to wait for 20 seconds until I'm back, or maybe until they're back. Maybe sometimes it was also a player's connection that got lost or something. So these things can happen. It didn't happen a lot. So I had, maybe including the test games, maybe 40 games already or so. And I think it happened
Okay.
twice.
Oh, wow.
And so I think that I just have to live with. It's of course not a nice moment. It makes me very nervous. It's like, oh my God, where are they? And but so the two cases where it happened, they were very relaxed, and I was like, oh, you were gone for a second. Yeah, we were wondering. So that thing we just saw. So I had the feeling that they just used the time to like think about the puzzles, and the moment I was back, they were like, oh, can you look at that again? So it wasn't. I think it was much worse for me than it was for the players.
I think I'm very used to Zoom at this point. I'm very used to video conferencing now, suddenly over a short time. And yeah, people realize that internet's not 100% all the time. Sometimes things drop out and come back.
So I just hope it doesn't happen too often.
Yeah, definitely. And your tip about using the spotlights, I think, is a really good one. I've connected to quite a lot of games where, so as a player, I can select pin video, which means that the video I just get the one person's video. But yeah, if you being able to do that, so the players don't have to know that, is really good.
Yeah, because that's what I used to do with the pinning. That if they hadn't managed on their own, I just told them you need to change from speakers view to gallery view, and then you can pin my video. But of course, if I don't have to do that, it's better. And from I think 3 participants, you can do this spotlight video. So if I only have one device playing, then it doesn't work. But then I think it's also easier because they only have their picture and my picture, and they can just click on it, and it works very easy. But as soon as there's more participants, then it doesn't do it automatically, and the spotlight thing seems to work. I mean, I tried it out at home yesterday, and it seemed to work, so I will try it out for the next game.
So are you seeing a lot of differences between different groups in terms of how well they work together, how well they take to this sort of new type of game?
No, I didn't find that there were very big differences. I mean, there are some groups that are a little bit shy in the beginning, like, okay, so what do we do? And then like it takes a bit of time until they actually get used to and dare to just give me instructions. But you can see that throughout the game, by the end, they're like, oh, go there, do that. And they have absolutely no problem with it anymore. And there's other groups who are anyway, totally, I mean, have no problem with that from the beginning. Actually, for me, it's more pleasant when one of them takes a bit the lead. It often happens that like one is doing more of the talking and the others just give ideas now and then. And there's also these other games where everyone they want to be the one giving directions, and that can get confusing at times if you have like 3, 4, 5 people maybe on different devices talking to you. It was a little bit yesterday as well. You were also with a few people, and everyone was very active.
Oh, yes, absolutely, yeah.
I discovered something new. Everyone wanted to tell me what to do, and so sometimes I had to like, okay, maybe one at a time. But the good thing is that people also realize that themselves. I mean, they realize that if two people talk at the same time, that it gets lost a little. So then players themselves sometimes say like, okay, you go first, and that makes it then a bit easier for me as well.
Sure, yeah. No, that makes sense. I think the slight delay over Zoom makes it harder because something happens, everyone starts talking, and then they realize that everyone's talking. So,
yeah.
But yeah, I think that's something that I think we're all getting better at that through all kinds of Zoom meetings at the moment. So
yeah.
So yeah, any other tips for dealing with players and for sort of pushing them into doing things the best way?
I don't know. I feel that, what we just talked about is important, like that they try to take turns a little bit. That's helpful for us. And we will also try, I'm having the first group this week, a bigger group. So I had a request from a company. There are, I think, 8 people. And they were like, oh, we were going to go on a trip together and now we can't. So we want to do something else. And we heard about your online game, so we would like to play that. So, but we're 8 people and everyone is sitting at home. So we will be on 8 devices. And we saw that your homepage says only up to 3 devices. So is there really no way? And yeah, I thought about it. My first reaction was like, no, that's way too much. And then I had this idea that they could like delegate someone or two people maybe who give the instructions, and the others could chat. Because Zoom has a pretty good chat function, especially if you use the laptop, it appears on the right side. And so my idea was that everyone can contribute to the game by watching and writing in the chat if they have ideas for a puzzle or how to solve it or where to look. And the person who's like the leader would like gather stuff from this chat and then give the directions to the game masters. And yeah, they were like, hey, let's try that. And they decided to have like teams of 2 and then take turns with giving me the directions. I'm very curious how that will work, but they seemed very organized. They said they made the schedule, like who goes first, who goes second, so they will independently like turn off their mics and turn them on, so that I don't have to do anything, and they will take turns. I'm very curious if that really works and if they're disciplined. But definitely the thing with the chat function can be a way to let bigger groups play without the game master being completely overwhelmed by 8 people. So that's maybe something also for other owners who thought like, oh no, big groups are not possible. Maybe that's a way to do it. But as I said, I don't have yet the experience. I have to see how it works on Thursday, how the feedback of the players is, if it was fun enough for the ones just typing or not. But I could imagine it working.
Great. Yeah. That's yeah, I'll be really interested to hear how that goes.
Yeah, I can let you know if you want.
Brilliant. Yeah, no, that'd be fantastic. So can I ask you a little bit about the hardware you're using? What are you actually using to do the streaming and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, well, it's pretty easy. I'm just using an iPhone XR. We first had an older iPhone, but the camera quality just wasn't good enough. The room is pretty dark. I mean, we made it a bit brighter now anyway. But now with the iPhone XR, I have the feeling that it deals very well with the comfy lighting of the room, and also because it has the image stabilizer, I think it's called. It also helps that it doesn't like wobble around too much.
What was the older iPhone you were using?
Well, we tried it with an what's mine, SE. It was okay, but it just made a huge difference when we got the new phone, especially like if you look in darker corners and you really couldn't see anything, and I would like had to describe the objects, and now you can actually recognize objects. So yeah, we're very happy with that phone, and we finally also have good internet, because we didn't used to have fast enough internet in here in the escape rooms, because we didn't need it before. So that also took some time with our provider until they like changed it to fast DSL. But now, fortunately, it's all working, and yeah.
Fantastic. That's good you were able to get it upgraded as well. I imagine sometimes that's hard at the moment.
Yeah. Well, it did take 2 weeks. So it's good that really the first moment when we started thinking about it, we just said, okay, we're just getting the good internet. Even if we end up not doing the online games, that's it. Well, it's not such a bad thing to have anyway. So then we just decided to do it in any case. And now we're very happy that we took care of it early on, so that it actually came one day before we started with the online game. It was there.
Amazing.
It was working before as well, but now it's a bit more stable and faster, so I just feel more comfortable with it. Yeah, and the camera we have, I have like this, it's attached to my body, because we first thought of like something on the forehead, but it has the disadvantage that I don't see what the players are seeing.
Right.
And I find it very, very, very important and good that I actually always have in front of me exactly what players are seeing. So I know as I move around that I don't have to like guess, okay, am I now in the right position? But I can really see.
Okay. And you're using the one that's kind of like a vest with then a sort of a neck coming up with the camera connected.
Yeah, I can send you a photo, because we actually took one for the newspaper, so I can send you a photo. It's like just some straps sort of, and yeah, and some things here that you can move.
Have you got any other kind of hardware you needed? Any extra lighting? You mentioned already upgrading the internet, but anything else that you're doing?
Light, I mean, we just, so there's like this, the one up here, it used to have like really low watt bulbs to make it like really cozy. Right now it's not cozy anymore, but we need the light. I mean, I just don't like rooms that are too dark. Also not in real life. It's like, makes me so I want people to be able to see what they're doing. So yeah, maybe it's a little bit less cozy, but it's definitely makes the puzzling better and the experience better. So we just exchanged them with brighter bulbs. That was all. It wasn't really a big deal, but
Right. Okay. Yeah, that's a nice and simple tip.
and
Then.
also outside, because I start in front of the door, and that's actually a pretty dark space there where people go in the beginning.
Right.
And there we also put up an extra lamp so that people can actually see that I'm in front of the door and see the door handle. Yeah.
Sure.
So for the rest, yeah, just for us, it was the thing with the internet, because it was not just changing the contract, but we needed a new router and repeater, because the internet is, I live above the escape rooms, and it's actually the internet of my own place upstairs, but then it had to also reach here. So we had to also get a repeater for it. And so that was for us the biggest deal, but I think it's something that most people won't have trouble with, because a lot of people already have the fast internet. So that was just us.
Sure. Yeah. No, that makes sense. Is there anything else about your setup that you'd like to change? Anything that's that you still think is not quite right?
Well, I'm still doing small things like things that help the immersion that were not possible before and are possible now. Like some things I already did. Like I know we have this. I don't want to spoil too much, but you find like some whiskey in between. And in the original game, we just had like empty bottles in there, and was like, that doesn't make any sense. But I didn't really want to have fluids in the room and drinking the whiskey. Yeah, whatever, obviously. So, but now it's possible. I mean, now it's possible to do those things and actually have real bottles with real whiskey in there, and it all looks a bit more real.
Cool.
Or like if you find some papers in the trash and they're blank, and I had actually one group making a bit fun of it and was like, why would you throw away blank paper? That doesn't make any sense. And I was like, yeah, I know, but we had to do that because people in the live games would spend half an hour looking at those papers if there's text on them. And then it's more hearing, which we don't want to do. I mean, we don't want people wasting time with that when they don't have to. But now I, of course, have the option of making them look like, okay, someone wrote a letter, threw it away, and then I look at it and I can say, no, I don't think that's going to help us, and put it away. And so it helps the immersion because it's more real, but it doesn't waste the players a lot of time. So these are the kind of changes that I want to still make, and there's a few other of these kind of small things. I'm very happy I could get rid of all the do not touch stickers. I mean, there weren't many, but there were like 3 of them in the room, and I was like, yay, I can make those go away, because I always hated them, but they were necessary. And so now it's like, no, if they want me to do something which I know is not good, I can just say, why would I do that? Or I don't think that's going to help us, and just refuse to do it. Or act as if something is really stuck somewhere, even though it's not, or yeah, things like that.
Yeah, have you got any? Is there any advice to someone who's just getting started in terms of what sort of hardware they should buy?
I think I don't know if I'm the best one to give tips on that, because I think people are trying out different things, and I'm not even sure that our solution is the best. It's just the one that we like best from what we tried. And we were also lucky that some things immediately worked pretty well. But I can imagine other solutions also working, or like people who have extra cameras that you can like see also a full view of the room. Some people do that. It's also a matter of taste. I mean, I can totally see the advantage of that, like that you get an overview of the room. We decided against it, and not because we wanted to save money or anything, but it was because of 2 things. First of all, the room is small enough and there's not that much stuff, so you can actually get an overview by just looking around one, so you don't strictly needed. And the more important reason for us to not do it was the immersion, because as soon as you see me with my thingy there on my phone, then I'm obviously not the secretary in the 30s who's like completely clueless in this office. And yeah, as long as people really only see what I see and they don't see me, then that works. And I also don't need to dress up or do my hair or whatever. So I felt that it's actually better with just the like first person view camera. We like that better. I think what I can give as an advice, just from having played a few games myself now in the meantime, do kick out puzzles that are not suitable for this format, because I was lucky here. I didn't have anything that was bad, but I feel if you have like a dexterity puzzle or a cooperative puzzle, and it's like, that's weird. I mean, I don't want to watch the game master struggle for 5 minutes to fish something out of somewhere or so. That's a little, it just doesn't work as well. So I do think that some escape rooms who are not as lucky as me to have a room that actually immediately works for this format, don't just take it as it is. Just try to make small changes or bigger changes in order to make it work and make it fun for players as well. And yeah, so I think some rooms need a bit of change in order to work. And I mean, we also made changes, but there were small changes, and some rooms might need bigger changes, but then you just have to do that, because I think it's frustrating for the players to do puzzles that they, where they just have to wait a very long time, or which are obviously meant to be done with 2 people, and then there's like one game master running around trying to do both things at the same time, and it doesn't work. And yeah, so that's that I find is a pity then.
I already asked you, I think, about the streaming software. So you said you're using Zoom.
Yeah.
How did you choose that?
Okay, well, we tried, I think, we tried Zoom, Skype, WhatsApp, Jitsi, I think it's called. And then we also looked into like streaming things like YouTube or Twitch a little bit, but there were like either some barriers, like if I understood it right, with YouTube, you need like 1,000 followers to be able to stream something. And with Twitch, if I'm not mistaken, as I understood, you can't really do private meetings. I mean that it's always public. I'm not actually sure about that because I didn't look into it myself. A friend of mine looked it up, but he was like, I didn't find a way to do it, to really make it private. And I don't want just anyone logging in. It's not really how I want to do this. I mean, it's really private bookings and they should stay private. And so that's why those 2 things fell out. And then with Jitsi and Skype, we felt that the quality with the Zoom was a bit better, the video quality, and FaceTime was pretty good, but it's just for Mac users, so that was again like too limited. And WhatsApp actually worked pretty well, but we didn't like that you can't use it from your laptop, because the web version of WhatsApp doesn't have video, so it would only be people playing from their phones, and I don't think playing from your phone is that good. So Zoom was the way to go. And yes, of course, people need to download the software. So there's a small barrier, but they don't need an account. So they don't need to register. They only need to click on the link. And that I find is pretty user-friendly. And a lot of people now already have it for other reasons. So I think it's getting really popular. So I don't know. For us, it was the way to go. Of course, I also heard now the last few days was in the newspapers about privacy issues, and so I actually had one person booking who received the booking confirmation saying that they need to install Zoom, and she wrote back and asked to cancel the booking because she didn't use that. But she also wrote, if there's any other way to do it, then we will be happy to play. So I just called her. It turns out they have a MacBook, so I offered to do it over FaceTime, and she said like, oh, that would be awesome. So we're doing the game. It's today actually. So yeah, we'll see. I think it should work pretty fine over FaceTime, and so we actually are flexible. Also, if someone would say, oh, I'd rather Skype, then we would of course say yes. But I didn't want to offer 5 options in the booking system, because just gets confusing, and also for us, then there's so many platforms, and I prefer to go with one thing, but it doesn't mean that I can't make an exception if someone really keeps on using something else.
I think most players don't care and would be very confused if you asked them. So I think it makes sense to pick the one that works the best. And then if people can't or don't want to use that, to let them have another thing.
Yeah.
Can I ask a few things about numbers? Starting off with the pricing. How does your pricing work?
It was a super hard decision how to price this. It's really, I think it's the thing that I spend most time thinking of, just because there were these two aspects. Like on one hand, I have this same or similar amount of work with it because I still need a game master working. I still, okay, we have the 90-minute slots instead of 120-minute slots, so that saves me a little bit. So if I really have to compare it, I can say, okay, maybe an online game costs me a little bit less than a live game, which seems to be different for everyone. I also heard of people who are thinking of implementing it and had the opposite problem, that they would need 2 people instead of 1 because they need an actor in the room and someone triggering stuff from the computer. So it would actually be even more expensive, which I find really problematic then. So yeah, let's say for me it's maybe a little bit cheaper, not very much, but a bit. And on the other hand, I felt that I can't just charge what I charge for a live experience because it's just not the same. And I don't know, I felt that people would not be willing to pay the exact same amount. So I felt like it has to be less, but it can't be that little that I don't earn anything on it anymore. I mean, that's just
of course.
Stupid. So I made my decision by talking to people. So I had test players and I asked them, so what do you think? What would you pay for this? Or what do you feel I could charge or not? And the opinions were actually pretty similar. There was not very big differences. And they basically all said, okay, it has to be less than a live escape room. But don't go too low. So yeah, in the end, my live rooms here cost between 60 and 90 euros a game, and the online game costs 45 euros. So let's say it's 15 euros less than the cheapest version with a 2-player game. But of course, because you can play from up to 3 devices, so let's say if 3 people play from their own homes, then it's 15 euros per person, and that seemed like a fair price. So I thought, yeah, I can do that. And 45 euros is basically the minimum I should take. And I thought, more would be better, but I was afraid that people won't book it if I charge the same as for normal rooms. And actually, I'm now happy with these requests of bigger groups that I had, because then I thought, okay, if I do this, I can also charge differently. So my decision was that from more than 5 devices, I would just take 10 euros per device. So now if a group of 10 is playing, I actually earn 100 euros instead of 45, which is obviously much better with the same amount of work. And for them, it's a really good price. So I find 10 euros per player is like awesome. And maybe I could have even done a bit more, like 12. But now I just decided that way. And I mean, if it really gets very popular and very full, I can always raise prices a little bit. But so far, I think it's fine. And also, I'm of course hoping to maybe have more bookings, like for instance during the week, because for us it was always weekends were very full. I think it's probably for a lot of owners that way. And Monday to Friday, like, okay, but not that much. And so now I'm thinking if people play from home and maybe also play during the week, so maybe we just get more bookings in total, also because of course people from all over the world can play and not just the ones who are here in our small town. So then maybe it's okay to have the price a little bit lower if I generate more income from a higher number of bookings.
Cool, that makes sense.
But of course, everyone is free to do it how they feel. And I've seen games that are way cheaper. I've seen games that are more expensive. So I think it's, everyone's just trying to find their way at the moment. I mean, there is not really,
absolutely,
for me, it was really hard. There was nothing to compare to. Like, I found one game in the US and they were like $49, I was like, oh, that's good, that fits my 45 euros. That's actually about the same. So that made me feel good. And in Austria, I had found a game that started at 45 and then it got more expensive per device. But it was also, so like for one device, it was 45. And I thought, okay, I'm not doing something completely wrong here. So
it's early days at the moment, and people have got to work it all out. They've got to work out what's sustainable for them. They've got to work out what people will pay.
Yeah.
Can you share how many games you've had so far?
Well, we had first weekend, so we started Friday evening, and I think I had 10 bookings in the weekend. I think I had like 2 or 11, 2 on Friday, 5 on Saturday, and 4 on Sunday. Yeah, 11 bookings.
Great.
But I have to say that I also blocked slots because I was like, okay, I don't want to do more than 5 games on a day, especially since it's so new and I don't know with the tech if something happens or. So I was like, okay, I need to. So I actually blocked the rest. So I don't know. Maybe more people would have booked if there had been more free slots. Yeah. Now during this week, I think I have also about 10 bookings so far, but over the whole week, there's not that much in the weekend yet, but I think it will still fill up because I have the feeling that people are booking much more spontaneously than with a live game.
Yes, yeah.
At least in Germany, people are like booking 4 weeks in advance, 6 weeks in advance. They're like, okay, it's birthday, and then we're going to an escape room, so it's something they really plan. And I feel that these online games are more like, oh, shall we try that tonight? And people see, okay, there's still something available. So there's more short-term bookings. So yeah, I'm very curious how coming weekend will work. Fortunately, I have one game master trained now as well, so I'm not alone. But she only does German games because her English is not that good. So I'm hoping also for a few more German bookings because so far it's been, if I have to estimate, like 80% English speaking. Well, from outside the country and maybe only 20% from Germany.
And that sounds like it's very much to do with just where these things have been shared so far. You know, there's lots of people talking about it on the Facebook groups, or Escape Room Slack, that kind of those kind of places. That probably skews it all towards English-speaking people and probably towards American audiences as well.
Yeah, but Americans are such nice players. I have to say, I'm so thrilled about it because it's just so nice. They're so nice. They're like very enthusiastic about it. They're super friendly. They're always afterwards like, oh, that was so awesome. And I don't know. I feel that for me, it's more fun doing the games with them. I mean, German people are often a bit more, I don't know, and it's like, I don't know, often at the end, also during the game, they're not so, yeah, the interaction is a bit drier, I find, and at the end, I'm always wondering, like, did they actually like it? Because you don't feel it that much. And they were like, oh, yeah, that was fun. And I mean, I believe them because they probably wouldn't say it if it wouldn't be true. They would be honest. But yeah, you don't get that vibe that much. So I'm actually very happy about people from the US playing my games. It's very fun games.
Yeah, and it's amazing that that's now an option. I guess that you can now have an escape room in Germany and have people in the US deciding they're going to come and play with you.
Yeah, and I have to say, so the bookings I talked about in the weekend, there were, I think, 3 or 4 from the US, but I had one from the Czech Republic, one from Estonia, one from Jordan.
Amazing.
So yeah, I was like, geez, there's people from all over playing my rooms now. That's so cool. And some of them were escape room owners, I have to say. So I think both Estonia and there were guys from Prague who played, who were owners and just wanted to check out, okay, doing research basically. But I also enjoyed it. So yeah, I was very happy about that because of course I'm thinking people who either played a lot or are from the business are also maybe a bit more critical. But yeah, I got positive feedback. So I think I'm doing something right.
Great. Are you thinking of opening another game so that you can get repeat business? Because I know that certainly we'll book another game with you if you have one.
Of course, I'm considering it, but I'm unsure. So I will, of course, it depends on how it goes. Like if really a lot of people play and everyone goes like, when will you offer your next game? We want to play another game. I will consider it, but I really have to think very well about which other of my rooms would be suitable. And I think all of the other ones would need changes, so it's a bit more work than here. But if I see that it could be worth it, then I might actually go ahead and start working on that to adapt them, because I really feel that one should do that. I mean, that you should really adapt them, that they work, and not just put a camera in there and say, okay, now you play my escape room, and then it's like, I don't know, there's like puzzles that just don't work, or effects that that you can't transport. So I think I would need to make changes. Also, with one room that's is more high tech, where we also trigger stuff from our game master's control room, basically. But there, my colleague said that he could probably program it in such a way that we have like a trigger thingy in our pocket, so that the actor within the room can do it remotely. And so when, I don't know, when people say the right word or do the right thing, then they can just click in their pocket, and then the thing that has to happen happens. So that's something that we could do, but of course it's a little bit of work. So I just have to see if it's worth it. And but yeah, could be cool, of course, to have more. Let's see. It also depends on how long this Corona business lasts. So if we actually are allowed to reopen in, let's say, May, then I would prefer to focus on the live games again.
Of course,
and
yeah.
I don't know. I think that this room I could imagine still offering online. I mean, to keep this online room, but I would probably limit the slots to unpopular times, because on Saturday I'd rather have real groups in here. But maybe during the week or so, I could also offer it for people from far away who still want to play it. So yeah, let's see how it goes.
What kind of escape rate are you getting at the moment?
Oh, well, we're actually letting everyone finish. We didn't do that in the live game. I mean, we tried to help people get out in time, but there were always groups that just where it was impossible. So there were always groups who didn't make it, but so far all groups got out. And we also we don't have, I mean, we had considered making like a fail ending, like, I don't know, that you hear gunshots and the mafia's here and the master falls on the floor and you see the camera, and then the end or something, game over. But I don't know, I feel that in this format, more than in the live game, it's important that people make it.
Okay, yeah.
Also, because if they don't, they can always blame me for being slow. And not doing it themselves, I'm doing it for them. And then if, let's say, they ask me to do something and I just need a moment, and then they will be like, oh, if you had been faster, we would have gotten out. And I don't want to listen to that. So yeah, I'm just making sure everyone manages in time, and it's possible. And as I said, you can give very subtle clues, you can give maybe a bit clearer clues, and everyone got out in 60 minutes so far.
I think people enjoy winning.
Yeah, and also the differences in times are actually smaller. So the fastest group was like 42 minutes or so. Even though, I mean, people played like, like Sarah Dodd played with her team. And I mean, it's like, okay, I played 1,500 rooms, now I'm playing yours. So I was like super nervous about that game. And they also needed 45 minutes because it actually, it takes some time. You just can't be faster. Like with a few people in here, if you work very well together, if you spread out in the beginning, then you can be super fast. And with me doing everything one thing at a time, it of course just takes some time. So it just, I think the times will always be between minimally 40 and let's say and 60 minutes. And while before in the live games, we did have good groups that got out in half an hour. It just was that way because it's not a very, it's not a super complicated room. It's not a very big room, but 80% of our players were like beginners or only had played 1 or 2 rooms. So for them, it was perfect.
Sure.
And if we really had a group that played 50 rooms, yeah, then they got out in half an hour. But I'm actually happy that it doesn't happen anymore in this format, so that people actually play, a certain amount of time between 45 and 60 minutes. Yeah. Yeah, it's like it was made for this. I'm really lucky. It's very, yeah.
Do you see live escape rooms as being a thing that outlasts COVID-19? Do you see this as being an actual trend or just a temporary solution to the problems we have right now?
I can't tell. I'm very curious to see. As I said, I would probably just keep an eye on it and see, are people still booking this after it's all over? Or do people say, okay, now that I can get out of the house again, I'm definitely doing live escape rooms?
Absolutely, yeah.
But on the other hand, I mean, people, depending where they live, maybe they already played everything in their area,
Sure.
and they need to travel like 3 hours to get to the next escape room, and then they might say, oh, well, then I'd rather do one in Budapest tonight,
Yeah.
over stream. So I don't know, I think it could also work afterwards. Just wait and see, and then I will also decide if I keep this or not. It also depends. I mean, if we actually change this room into something else, then of course not. But if I see that it
Yes.
works and people keep playing also after all this is over, then why not? I mean, it's a cool thing.
Yeah, yeah. No, I can certainly see myself playing more of these in the future, even when I can leave my house again.
And one more thing that I just thought of is also
Yeah,
like people with disabilities, for instance. I'm sure
yeah,
you've also thought of that aspect, and I think it's very interesting. I
absolutely,
mean, I
yeah.
haven't had it yet, but I'm sure there's people who normally can't play escape rooms because they don't have the physical possibility, and now they can. Now you can sit at home and play a room.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, where do you see these kind of games going in the future? Do you see them as evolving in any kind of ways or any kind of things you can see coming?
Well, what I was thinking, and I was also talking to some other owner, I don't remember who it was, who was saying the same thing, was like, oh, I actually feel like building an experience especially for this. I mean, that it's not like you take one of your existing rooms and adapt it, but that you make something with this audience in mind. I mean, with being played online, especially for that. And I think that's a very interesting thought, because I think if you really build something knowing this, and this is what I'm making it for, then yeah, you can do a lot of stuff a bit in the direction of what I mentioned before with the whiskey. So things that you
Yes.
normally couldn't do because people would do the wrong things, people would break things, people would waste a lot of time with things that don't mean anything.
Right.
And in this format, you can, yeah, you have much more options. So I think it could be interesting. So you can do stuff that you couldn't do before, I think. And it could, I mean, people are very creative. So I can imagine owners coming up with cool stuff to do as an online format.
Amazing. Have you considered having some kind of inventory system so that people can see the items they find as they go through the room?
Yes, we're not sure. I can totally see the advantage of this, but I also feel that it breaks the immersion a little bit, because I want them to be there. I want them to be there with me and do things with me, and not switch on their phone or tablet or something between the room and an inventory. And I don't know, I felt that this room doesn't have that much stuff that you can't deal with it. I mean, that it's like too much, that it's
Right, yeah.
overwhelmingly much, that you forget everything, or that it's things that you need to look at very closely more often. I mean, people just tell me, oh, can you go back and look at the picture once more? And then I do that. And we also have that time. I mean, if I would feel, for instance, that the 60 minutes are very tight, and that it would save people time if they would have the objects and could look at them at all times, and then it would go quicker, then also that would be an argument to do it. But I don't know, I feel that there is enough time to just look at things again, and people can take notes, they can write down stuff. And the only thing that I am considering after talking to you yesterday is to place the things more together, like that I have really a space on the desk. So maybe that will be my inventory, that I really put things a bit more organized, so that people, when they say, okay, so what do we actually have, that I can just, with turning my camera once, show them all the objects again, and they're all in one place, and then they can tell me, okay, zoom in the book or whatever, and then they can check that out once more. So that might already be a little bit helpful, and also discard stuff that I've already used. like people also do in the real rooms. But yeah, I need to get used to that, because it's, of course, you have so much on your mind. You need to the stuff, you need to interact with the people, and then if I also have to watch out where I place things, that's a like extra duty. But yeah, I think it's a matter of practice. So I could probably do that. That I have fixed place for all the items that are all gathered, and then it's like sort of an inventory.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. So, is there anything else that I should have asked you? Anything else that you'd like to say to people?
They should try it out. I think everyone should do it once, and I can totally understand also people who maybe play it and say, nah, I don't know, it was interesting, but I wouldn't do it again, and that's also okay. And but I think everyone should try it once. And I also have the feeling that it depends very much on what kind of player you are, whether you will enjoy it or not. I think that if you're someone who's really into like puzzles and solving and maybe a bit of atmosphere, a bit of story, you will enjoy this. If you're someone who goes to escape rooms because you love these great sets and the high tech and the wow effects, then you might be disappointed. You'll probably be disappointed playing it live, and you might be disappointed playing it online. So it depends a bit of what people like and enjoy and what their focus is when doing escape rooms. But still, I think it's worth a try, and I'm very excited to do more of them myself. I booked now one for tomorrow night in Amsterdam, also about it. So I'm excited to see how other people do it.
Thanks so much for talking to me, Julia, and I hope you have a great day.
Yeah, thanks a lot for asking all the questions. I'm happy to contribute, and let's hope a lot of people do this. And thanks for putting all this together and advertising for us. That's very, very helpful and nice.